Hey everybody, Arnaldo here, broadcasting from Fidelio's Frequency. Welcome to my channel. So today we'll be taking a look at the Vinyl Me Please releases for the month of July. I say releases because up until now, I've always brought you a review on the essentials category of the month. Well, starting this month, we have the beginning of the debut of a new track, which is what Vinyl Me Please calls their categories, the debut of the rock track. So I decided to take a look at this first release of the series, and we'll dive into that as well. But first up is the essentials category, which this month features Sly and the Family Stone, There's a Riot Going On. So let's do a quick unboxing, and I'll be back to talk about the album itself. Now let's open up the packaging and see what's inside. Let's start off by the hype sticker, which tells us that this release was cut all analog from tape by Ryan K. Smith. Then we have our numbered Obi, Vinyl Me Please Essentials number 127, and the usual blurb about the album on the back. The art print, printed on heavy cardstock by Jean-Pierre Consuegra this time. Then the gatefold jacket, like the original, and heavy cardstock, tip-on jacket. Not much embossing on this one, as usual, by VMP, except for the logo on the back. And then we have the booklet, which is pretty basic. It's all black and white text with an essay by Shannon Effinger. And now let's take a look at the vinyl, which the hype sticker says it was 180 gram, but I actually weighed it. I thought it was a little lighter, and it comes in at 165 grams. So nice color, really cool, like this almost daisy color, called Love and Hate. Hate as in Hate Ashbury. So let's take a look at the Sly and the Family Stone, There's a Riot Going On. This album is their fifth album. It followed their fourth album, which came out 2.5 years earlier, in 1969. This album came out in November of 1971. Quite a big gap from their previous, considering the times where pretty much everyone was releasing an album a year. And the reasons for the gap were, let's say, twofold. First of all, there were rising tensions within the band between Larry Graham and some of the other members of the group. What added to also the tensions was probably Sly Stone's erratic behavior, especially showing up late at concerts, not showing up at all, which is tied to his period of heavy drug use of cocaine and angel dust. So a lot of this inner band tensions led to kind of like this a period of a lull in Sly and the Family Stone. And during this period, Sly Stone became very friendly with the Black Panther movement. And this had an influence on the album's music. They were suggesting to Sly to produce more militant type of music in line with the times. And to the point where they suggested that Sly also dismiss two of his band members, the only two Caucasian band members, Gregorico and Jerry Martini. But fortunately, both of them do appear and continue to work with Sly and the Family Stone. So as I said, the shift in musical tone of the band is pretty significant on this album. Whereas before they had songs that had more of a positive outlook. Previous album Stand had standout tracks like Everyday People, I Want to Take You Higher. This one has more of a darker tone. maybe touches a little bit more on social commentary of the times, maybe inspired by Marvin Gaye's What's Going On. And as a matter of fact, the album was originally supposed to be titled Africa Talks to You, but after What's Going On, Sly thought that maybe he should title his album There's a Riot Going On. And I believe that is what led to the name of the album. Their music, like I said, shifts from more of a psychedelic kind of funk, which is still the undertone here, to a darker, probably funk with edgier rhythms. As a matter of fact, the rhythms were courtesy of probably the first appearance on an album of a drum machine. The name of the drum machine was the Maestro Rhythm King, which features on pretty much all the tracks. At the time, Sly felt that maybe the programmed rhythms weren't capturing what he intended the sound to be. So I think at times he was actually manually playing the drum machine. And mostly this is kind of like a solo effort by Sly Stone. He mostly recorded all of the instruments. However, there are several overdubs, and the other Family Stone members do appear, but oftentimes, for example, bass parts would be overdubbed by Sly himself. There's appearances of other musicians, outside musicians, like Ike Turner, Bobby Womack, Billy Preston on a few tracks. And the album really had one huge hit, which was Family Affair, probably the more pop-oriented song. As a matter of fact, it went to #1 on the Billboard pop charts. The album at the time when it was released, was received with mixed reviews. Only afterwards it got reappreciated and ended up influencing a lot of hip-hop, jazz funk, and funk work that came afterwards. So my review of this Vinyl Me Please release has some good and bad things I have to say about. First of all, the vinyl sounds really good, really well pressed. Like I said earlier, it's an all analog release cut by Brian K. Smith. Flat, quiet, and I have only the CD version to compare it to, and needless to say, I prefer the vinyl version. Have not had a chance to compare it to an original release of the time, nor any other subsequent reissues. I believe there were some reissues that may have been cut by Kevin Gray. I'm not too sure about that. Would be interesting to know if you guys know about it. Please leave comments below. Now, I think though there was a missed opportunity here on behalf of Vinyl Me Please, because the original, although it was a gatefold, did come with a printed inner sleeve. The printed inner sleeve was lyrics as well as the credits, and a list of the songs. Oftentimes the album had a sticker on it which showed the track listing. As you can see here, there are no track listings, and unless you look at the labels, you wouldn't know what the names of the songs. So I feel that was a huge miss, not including it in the along with the album. Even more so a miss because they went as far as giving us a booklet, which reminds us of the title of the album. And then it's just like I showed before, blown up text, which probably is, not really that important since it's blowing up something that's already in the essay. Another one here. Maybe they could have included the lyrics or the credits, or at least the song titles. So I think that's a huge miss. Typically, I always like to say, Vinyl Me Please, knock it out of the park when it comes to the presentation of the package. This one leaves a little bit to be desired. heavy cardboard stock jacket, no complaints there. Maybe a gloss finish instead of a matte finish would have highlighted the colors a little bit better, but that's just me nitpicking. One final thing I wanted to say is about the track, There's a Riot Going On. There is no track, There's a Riot Going On, but it is listed, it was listed on the original label, and it was listed as 0 seconds. Reason being, Sly's intention was that there was no riot, really. And I want to say, this is not so much a miss, but a huge mistake, because the current release, Vinyl Me Please, which I believe replicates maybe the later reissued labels, the labels show that track, There's a Riot Going On, instead of 0 seconds, which was tied to the philosophy and the intention of the artist, it's listed as 4 seconds. Maybe someone has an explanation for that, but clearly they missed the original intent and the meaning that Sly gave to the song title. So that was There's a Riot Going On by Sly and the Family Stone, the Vinyl Me Please selection of the month in the Essentials category. And now let's take a look at the debut of a new category in the Vinyl Me Please subscription series. That is the debut of the rock category, or like I said before, Vinyl Me Please calls them tracks. So I decided to take the plunge and subscribe to this track as well. Not sure if I'll continue depending on the selections that are upcoming, but the first one was an album that I had purchased 20 years ago on CD, never got around to buying the vinyl version. So I figured this would be a great opportunity to purchase Is This It by The Strokes. Before we talk more in depth about this release, I wanted to do an unboxing of what is inside the package. Starting off with the hype sticker, which tells us that lacquers were cut by Ryan K. Smith. Obviously, this isn't all analog because it was initially recorded in digital. Then we have our Obi strip with the numbering of the Vinyl Me Please Rock 001 and our blurb about the Strokes in the album on the back. Nice tip-on jacket with some foil of the name of the band. Heavy cardstock, reproducing the same artwork of the US release in gatefold, and the embossing of the VMP Rock logo on the back. We do also get a booklet and more of the artwork from the album. The pictures from inside are the same, all black and white, and the essay is by Erica Campbell. And the vinyl, supposedly 180 gram. I weighed it, and it does come in very close at 174. It is a beautiful blue and orange splatter vinyl. Both this release and the Sly the Family Stone were both pressed at GZ Media. So like I said earlier, this album is the, maybe I didn't say it earlier, this is the second release that Vinyl Me Please features of The Strokes. The first one was actually their second album, and it was a Essentials selection. The album was Room on Fire. And now that we're going back to their debut album. The Strokes formed in New York City. They're all New York City boys. They met, most of the band met in high school or boarding school. They're Upper East Side schools. And they started playing since high school until the addition of Albert Hammond Jr., the second guitarist in the band, joined. Then they started definitely taking it a lot more seriously and practicing on like either in Hell's Kitchen or the Lower East Side, and laying down some demos. thanks to the manager of the Mercury Lounge, which was the venue in the Lower East Side where the Strokes started playing. That demo caught the attention of Rough Trade, that put out their first EP, which I believe was called The Modern Age. After that, they started getting the attention of quite a few major labels and entering into a bidding war, which RCA won at the time. They signed the band internationally, except for the UK, where they were still signed to Rough Trade. The debut album had kind of like a staggered release. It was initially released in Australia, of all places, first on July 30th, followed by Japan in August, and the initial international release date was supposed to be September 25th, but whereas it was released everywhere on September 25th except for the US, where the album was further delayed until October 9th. Reason being, the events of September 11th influenced the track listing of the album. There is a song called New York City Cops. The band and the label felt that it would have been a bit insensitive to include that on the album, which was already at the presses. And at the last minute, they replaced, for the US version, New York City Cops with a new song that they had recorded called When It Started. This is that's one of the great things about this release from Vinyl Me Please, is that for the first time on vinyl, both New York City Cops and When It Started are both featured on the album, and at least on the vinyl release. So let's talk about the music. The Strokes, if you're not familiar with them, are your classic indie band of the early 2000s. They cite as their main inspiration in wanting to do music the Velvet Underground. They wanted to capture kind of like that lo-fi sound of the time, almost like, I think the definition was the sound of a band from the past, but playing in the future. I may have misquoted that, but that is the gist of their intentions when they started playing. And as a matter of fact, if you listen to this album, don't think it's poorly pressed or poorly mastered. It's just like that intentionally. The drums sound a bit compressed due to the miking that they utilized for the recording. The guitars are very raw, without too many effects on them, and the voice as well, filtered through a specific type, I don't remember the name of it, a specific type of amplifier, which sounds almost like distorted. So yes, the CD at the time sounded like that. The album sounds pretty much the same. I think actually the vinyl version sounds better than the initial CD release. So that leads me into evaluating the quality of this release. Definitely thumbs up for the vinyl. As you've seen before, really nice color scheme, and flat, silent, of course, pressed at GZ Media, like the Sly and the Family Stone. And no complaints there. I did want to mention also, just backtrack a little bit on the sound of the Strokes. Definitely, like I said, indie band of the time. They are credited to igniting the garage rock revival, the post-punk revival, like I said, kind of like the Velvet Underground kind of theme or atmosphere. And all of that with great pop melodies, all songs written by Julian Casablancas, and amazing musicianship. The guitar interplay, not only on this album, but on pretty much all of the Strokes albums, is very unique. Albert Hammond Jr., very underrated guitar player in my opinion. Love also his solo work. Now, the artwork was another reason. I don't want to say for the delay, but since the album had been delayed in the U.S. At the last minute, they also thought that maybe the original photo that was chosen for the album for the international release, it is kind of like a risque photo, black and white, reminiscent of Helmut Newton's style of photography. A really cool photograph of the a side view of a naked woman with a black glove, like this at the time. And they felt that this image was a little too risque, so decided to switch it up. And at the last minute, the band and Julia Casablancas thought that this image was really cool. It was taken from the cover of a theoretical physicist, Freeman, I forgot his name, Freeman Dyson, I think it is. His book cover of The Scientist as a Rebel had the same image of the artwork. It is a, let me see if I can get this right. It is a subatomic particle track in a bubble chamber. Wow. And he thought, of course, like a psychedelic interpretation of that type of artwork. And they decided to use it instead of the picture that I just showed you of the naked lady, because they thought that maybe the retailers would not stock this in America, or at least have some pushback. This is not the first appearance of this artwork. Just out of curiosity, I pulled out my copy of Graffiti Bridge, and as you can see here, that same artwork was actually inserted in the collage of Prince's Graffiti Bridge. Gatefold, just like I showed you earlier, like the first edition of the US, whereas the international was not gatefold. I think pretty well done in heavy cardstock as usual. But yeah, it's just slight corner ding here, which I've already brought to Vinyl Me Please's customer service, hoping they will take care of that. Now, yes, I do have a little rant in addition to the corner ding, due to Vinyl Me Please's poor mailers. Can we say that? Second part of the rant is actually the booklet. Usually they do a really good job with the booklet and the essays. I think that since there was another artwork available, maybe, and this is just a suggestion to their art department, maybe they could have used some of the excluded or the international artwork, either that picture, including maybe that picture, or even this really nice band photo. But instead, they decided to replicate, again, the really cool artwork. But again, we have pictures of the band, which are featured inside the gatefold as well. So I'm not really sure what the reasoning was to repeating the same images that we already have. And then we have some really nice blank pages, which are also questionable in my opinion. So can I say this is a hit? Did they knock it out of the park? Do I give it 2 or 3 thumbs up? Maybe 1 thumb up. Still nicely presented. I think they did a much better job, and here's where they knocked it out of the park on the previous Strokes release. Glossy, with spot varnish, gold here. Really beautifully done on the previous release that Vinyl Me Please did. This one maybe gets 1 thumb up. Great vinyl. Maybe they could have expanded a little bit on the booklet, but that's just me. Maybe I'm being a little too picky, or I've set my expectations really high when it comes to Vinyl Me Please. In any event, that kind of wraps it up for our monthly video on Vinyl Me Please. featuring There's a Riot Going On by Sly the Family Stone in the Essentials category, and Is This It by The Strokes in the rock category. And please let me know any feedback. Please give me your feedback in the comments below. It's free to subscribe, so don't be afraid to hit that subscription button and the notification bell so that you will be alerted of any future videos of mine. So I guess that wraps it up for now, and I will see you on the next one.